Hello, good evening. Apologies, slightly late there. Welcome. You are here with Sandra on Wednesday, and it's Sandra's Stampin' Craft Studio, live on both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I'm here and I'm going to be doing something a customer said to me today, how she finally thinks that she's actually grasped the heat embossing. Excuse me. So I thought today I'd just enhance that a little bit more. We were playing on Monday and she did some heat embossing, so I'm just going to use it with some vellum tonight, just to give you a little bit of a different scenario. Now, hello Maxine, lovely to see you, my dear. So I'm just going to grab a couple of things there. I'm just going to get you down on the table and let's just see where we're going. I had a bit of trouble just trying to find which stamp set I wanted to use tonight. I can't find the one that I really wanted, but I'm going to use Dainty Delight. We'll go away from Christmas just for an evening. I know it's the Christmas season, but we'll just do some little bits of techniques tonight. And I wanted to use this one. It's got some nice words on here, but it's got a few of the filigree pieces that we can experiment with without having to do too much all in one night. Okay, so that's here. It really works. One of the techniques I really wanted to show you works on open work stamps. So I really was looking for colour and contour. Now, I know that I had that out this week. It's not in the cupboard and it's not on the table, so I'm really not sure where that is. But I'll show you what I mean by the open work. Colour and contour. It's on page 25. So it's this one here. Now this one has got some nice open work on both the flowers and on this stem with the flowers. That would have been perfect, but it's not sitting in my tray on the table and it wasn't in the cupboard, so I'm not quite sure where that is at the moment. It's just nowhere to be found. So I will do that another time, or I might make some samples and post them up so that you can see what I've done with it. But for now we're going to play with Delightful Daisies. So this is really nice. I'm going to use this bigger one here because it's got a bit more meat to it. So let's just get that loaded. This one here. It's a super cling. So let's get that onto a big block. Okay, it's going to hang off the end slightly, but I'm not too worried about that. So we're going to take our vellum. So I'm going to take some pieces, if I've got a piece the right size. I just want to do it for techniques, just to show you a little bit first. So I think that would fit on there nicely. So let's use this piece for now. And I'm going to cut this to just be a panel for a card. So I really want to just really kind of mount that piece. So I'm going to use this to a little bit longer than I need. So say maybe a little bit longer than the block. So where my little thumbnail is, I'm going to chop that off. Okay. They do go in my scraps. So like with everything else, I have my scraps, I have vellum scraps. So I have all sorts of pieces in here. And we'll come back to some greetings, sentiments at the end. So pop that one away. Hi Sandra, nice to see you. Now, I've been out all day today and it's one of those, where is everything sitting? They're really funny. Or not. I have a mat and I know it's here. So I'm going to lean on this because I think it'll be easier for you to see. And hi Marilyn. Yeah, there you go. I was a little bit late coming on, Marilyn, so don't worry. Nice to see you back, Angela. Something new vellum techniques. I love vellum. I don't use it enough. I do it for an inking technique, which I'll show you if I get that card out. I showed this to a customer earlier in the week. It was sitting on here. Oh, don't say, Sandra. I know my room needs tidying, but hey, I can't even find that one at the moment. That's a mystery. There it is, hidden under the scrap boxes. There we go. I'll bring that one to the front just so I remember to show you at the end. And we've done that one before. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to prepare my surface exactly the same as I do for the other embossing. So I've got my little box of tricks here. I've got all my embossing powders in one box. So I'm going to first of all use the Dust Buddy. Dust Buddy, just remind you. Hi Shaz. Guess who's sitting on the chair next to me? Hey? She's sitting here being very, very good. Not a peep. It's because Daddy's gone to bed and she needs company. Okay, I'll get the elastic band up there so Tiggs can't get hold of it. So I'm going to wipe that over with the Dust Buddy. I will just lie this on its side because I find it easier stamping with my hands this way for a long image. So I'm going to emboss this a few different ways. But for start with, no, you haven't missed me. No gin tonight. No, I haven't had a gin. I think that might have been a good idea this evening. Yes. So I've got a range of our powders in here. So I will just go over those. They come now in packs of 3. So you have the metallics in one and you have the white, black and a clear in another. So they come in a pack of 3. Now, the offer that's on at the moment, you've probably seen that pop up or you've heard about the offer. I'm just grabbing this so I can see it. This is the offer at the moment and it's 10% off on ribbons and trims, 15% off on inks and 20% off papers. Now, those inks should include things like the Versamark refill, because it's a liquid, so it's a gloopy liquid, but it is a liquid, so it should include those. The papers, I would have thought it would include the Vellum. Yeah, I will give her, oh, she's gone. She's gone. She's just turned around and she's shut off very quietly. 20% should include things like the papers because it's a paper. It won't include the metallic ones. I very much doubt it will, the glimmers and metallics. Okay, but the papers and cardstock, note cards and envelopes, which you know I love, they're all included in that 20% off. So I worked out yesterday, the day before, that if you take 20% off those, you should get the note cards and envelopes instead of £7.50. They should be £6. So that's a really good saving. So I will be stocking up on those. But just remember those, it finishes tomorrow night, Thursday at 11 o'clock UK time. So if you're on other markets, it will be at the end of the day, your time. So I've got different ways of using these in here with different effects. But I am going to start off with a white. Okay, so let's start with that one. And my Versamark was here in front of me and I've covered it. There it is. So it's going to be one of those, definitely wing it's tonight. So I'm going to turn this over and I'm using my Versamark ink pad. They do get mucky. You can use the liquid, it's gloopy, but you can use that, squiggle that over the top, both directions. Use a bone folder and you can refill that. So if you have one of these already, that's the lid, Versamark. Okay, if you have one of those, it might just be a refill like Marilyn's just ordered that you need, okay? So I'm gonna just tap that all over here. So you've both, Shaz and Marilyn, you've both come through on YouTube tonight. Somebody said to me it's clearer on YouTube when it's live. Always, I know it should be going out on both because the others. Hi Claire, sorry I missed you there. And Zena. Oh, and Pam. Oh, I've missed a few. Look, there we go. Hello everybody. So I'm going to stamp this in the middle of this piece. Okay, you kind of want to make it straight for where you're going to view it. This one's going to be a little bit of parchment, but a little bit of alcohol colours as well. So parchment work is working from the back of the vellum and stretching those fibres to give a totally different effect. So if I've got my white out, so if I use my little grid papers here, and I have one for each colour, because if you've got particles of white, you don't want to go and use it on black and contaminate when you're pouring them back into the tray. So I'm just going to pop this over here. I can see that it's shining, it's all gloopy, but you can't see it on the camera, but this is going to be a really good image. Okay, I think I need to reorder my white. Okay, so that, if I bring that up to the camera, can you see what a beautiful image that is? You couldn't find me on Facebook. That's really strange. It's definitely broadcasting to both because it came up on my system and I can tell who's on Facebook and who's on YouTube just by the colour of the text. Very clever system I've got. I pay for it, but it's the bee's knees. It's just so simple to use. And sometimes it's, like everything, it's worth paying for quality and getting what works for you. Okay, so I've got the heat gun here. It's just gonna, oh, don't see that one. It's just knocking everything out. Okay, so I'm gonna heat this with a heat tool. This is a Stampin Up heat tool. I'm keeping it away from the desk and I'm not fanning it. I'm just holding it perfectly still and you should see that start to turn shiny. Okay, you don't want to overcook it. you want to just move along as it starts to turn shiny and white. Okay, I'm going to turn it round and take it from the other side. Can you see the difference in those? Shine that up to the air. Can you see the difference in those two? Well, one end is dull and one end is shiny and white. So just going to finish this end off here. Okay, switch that off and cut the noise out. So all you're trying to do is dissolve the powder and let me pop it on there. Dissolve the powder and make it nice and shiny. You can overcook heat embossing powders. You can't zoom in on Facebook. Ah, right, okay, I'm with you. The heat embossing, you're just melting that powder. You can overcook it. And also, I want to just say, the subject came up again recently about old embossing powders. When you've had them, I mean, this one is the blue label, so this is really old Stampin' Up, and it's getting very empty. But you can, when they get, if they're really old, there's no particular symptoms. It's not like food going mouldy, you can't tell. But if you were to emboss that, and I heated it, and it just went flat, really flat, like ink. Okay, it will be very flat. You won't see any raised surface. This is all raised beautifully, but they can go off. And I didn't know there was such a thing until just a few years ago. And I discovered that it is possible for powders to go off. No particular conditions have been stored in or anything. They just go off. Okay, so that's just a worth of note. Somebody brought it up to me recently, and they had noticed, and I said it is a thing. So if I go back to my scrap pot, I've got a little tiny narrow strip there. I'm going to bring a strip on first so I don't ruin this piece. We have a lovely tool called the Take Your Pick tool. We have an assortment of endings, but one of those endings is a ball tool. Oh. Smudge has just slid onto the table. You know, like ducks or geese coming into land or ducks on a pond, and they skid along. Yeah, that was smudge over all my stuff on my table. This is the small side and this is the fat side. Okay, so I want to just show you how your Take Your Pick tool that we all have, well, hopefully most of us have in our kit. Oh, bless. You think you overheated some? Is it when a bit done? Yes. Oh, yeah, if it was one particular colour, Marilyn, you will find it probably is. It might be past it. There we go. She's saying hello to everybody. Just bring the camera in, just so you can see a little bit better. Oh, and Squeaky Boy's here as well. And there we go. You can see right up to the mat now. So what I'm going to do is I just want to show you how you would, if any of you know parchment, you'll know how this works. You can actually stretch the vellum like this, and you can actually shade in. So I would recommend getting a scrap. You can try the small and the large tools. So you can literally cut this. The bigger tool is good for bigger areas because you can softly shade that in. Now I'm going to tell you a really funny tip here. This is how parchment works, but because it's basically stretching it, and it's going to change the texture on the other side. So whereas it's grey now, when you turn it over, it's actually going to be white. And that's some of the effect we're going to do today. And we can use some colour. So I have all my alcohol markers here as well. So the best way to use this, if you have a candle, like a little tea light, you can actually just rub the tool, the end of the tool, in that. But failing that, if you watch my head up in the corner, if you scratch your head, which is the camera, that way. If you just scratch the scalp of your head, we have natural oils in our scalp. And that just makes it glide a little bit better. So you can just scratch away and then use those tools. Okay, so you can scratch that and you can stretch it and you can build it up. It is extremely strong. Vellum is really, really strong. You're not going to tear it, but I would suggest soft motions. You don't want sharp, streaky lines, and you want to round them. So nice circular motions, and you will find that that will really change the colour of your vellum. Okay. Oh, bless you, Shaz. Thank you. It's good. So can you see the difference in there? And all I've done is coloured it from here. I've done nothing else. Okay, just the ball tools. You've got the big and the small in there, and you're going to scratch your scalp with it, okay, to get it to oil nicely. So it's not greasy at all. It's just the fact that there are natural oils in our hair, our scalp. So I'm just going to go over some of these just very softly, just along the stems. Okay, I will keep scratching my scalp, so don't think I'm going silly. And I'm just going to try and get a little bit of movement in that vellum, just to try and show you what I mean. You can buy specific things for making it flow nicely, but hey, you can just give yourself a little bit of a scratch of the scalp. I'm just going to go over some of those lines. You notice when it kind of runs out of that extra, and it's scratchy a little bit. Okay, so I've just done a little bit on there. You probably won't notice just from this alone, but not on camera, I can see where I've started off on this one here. It's just making that a little bit broader. Okay, so I'm going to do some more of that. And I'm going to get the smaller tool as well. I'm going to go over the larger tool, the stems with the larger ball. Okay, and I'm just trying to emphasize those a little bit more. We're going to do some spot treatment on this. Okay, I don't think I've done much on this recently, so it's a good one to bring up, Marilyn. So thanks for saying you're finally getting the gist of it. Okay, if you don't like to scratch the scalp, then you can just have a little tea light on the table and just rub it in there. Okay, there we go. So it's just putting a little bit of softness to that. Okay, so it's just enhancing those stems a little bit. And then I'm going to change to the smaller one. I am working on the back completely, Sandra. This is the shiny side. So this is the nice white heat embossed, and I've turned it over and I'm going on this side on my mat. You need a sponge of some sort, a mat of some sort underneath. If you do have the old-fashioned mouse mats, you just turn it over and use the back of it. Okay, so with parchment craft, it's all done from the back. The colours, when I put some colours on shortly, that's all going to be from the back. But what I wanted to do first was just highlight some of these little, where I've got some little flowers here, and they've got little tiny little pieces on here. I'm just going around in a little circle to bring those little dots out. It's hard to explain, but until you've tried it, you will know when it stops sliding quite so much. Okay, and then I'm going to do these little ones here. Not sure what they are, but there's some little tiny little pieces on here. I'm just going to colour those in. There we go. I could do these ones if I wanted, but I want to put some other colour on as well. Maybe pick those little four out there. So I'm just colouring those in. And then I turn it over to the right again, the right side again, and you'll see, like here, can you see that little flower has been coloured in? It's softened. It's gone white in the background. Okay, and these ones are so small I don't think you can really see much, but this four here really show them up. Okay, because they've been coloured in white. Okay, yeah, so that's working from the back. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I could carry on like this and just colour some of those in. I can shade some of these bigger flowers and just get those, like I've done here. I could literally just shade some of those in and colour them in white. So any of this work, we're working always from the back. So they would you'll still see the heat embossing coming through, but you're kind of stroking and then circular motions. So I'm just doing this bigger flower and see if that one will show up better for you. And then that one up there I've done. Then this one, I hope my hand's not in the way and you can see everything. So I'm doing circular motions, just trying to get those little pieces in. And some more down here. Let's do a few of those. And if I bring that up to the screen, can you see now that some of those flowers have been coloured in and it's just changing the texture? Okay, and then down here, that one, and then that one, I think that one's those two. It's just working at it and just giving that a little bit more depth. And you've seen from this sample here, the more you do, the bigger the ball, the softer, the more detailed you can go over and over gently without tearing it until you get the desired finish that you like. And it's also stretching those papers. So like you can see here, it's actually stretched it and warped it. Can you see that? It's not flat anymore. So you are shaping it, it's stretching and easing that paper. Okay, but I thought this one, you might be interested in this. This is just our Stampin' Up vellum. You've got vellum, you've got parchment. They're basically the same thing. They probably will argue that there's differences, but for what we use it for, they work the same. So if anybody, this is parchment craft, basically doing techniques like this. So where there's little balls on those flowers, the little round pieces, I'm just colouring them in circles, stretching out those leaves to make them go white. And this is all without my glasses down as well. Okay, because there's a nice solid outline. Shaz smudges back and she's gone to sleep on the chair beside me. Okay, I'll give her some treats after, by proxy, from her friend Shaz. Okay, so hopefully these will, it's not too boring for you just watching me colouring in. You can't really see much from the front, but I hope you're going to be able to see the differences when we turn over. So I'm just colouring in between the embossed pieces on the back. You could stamp on here, if you just leave it as stamp, but the embossing powder just makes it pop so much better. Okay, just colour those ones in. Let's have a turnover and see whether you can see the detail on here. It's just bringing out more enhancements. And you can see that there's quite a curve on that. Look, if I hold that, it's got quite a curve on the paper because I'm working it and stretching it. But it's giving it quite a lot of detail in there. Okay, so we're now going to go to a bit of colour. So I'm just going to show you what that's going to look like on this piece. So I've brought over all my my alcohol markers. Give me some colours. Who's on here and would like to choose a colour? What do you think colours would look nice for those flowers? We need some green, but that depends on what colour I do. That's a good nib. This is old olive, so let's have a go at this one. So this is old olive, and if I did a straight line down here and say that was a stem of a flower like so, and we've got some coming out there. Okay, you can see I'm making my own design on that one there. So if you wanted to just go over the back of this and just go a little bit outside of that, you don't really have to be too precise. You can literally come either side of it so that you can see either side of the white. Slap that one back on. And then when you turn it over, you can kind of see the whiteness through the middle. I could see this being done with trees, fir trees, because you've got the white, which could be the snow, and then you've got the green in the background underneath. That's just a very quick without the actual stamp. So I'm going to take this on the back here, and I'm just going to come along those edges. I just want to give it a little hint. Okay, so I'm putting the green behind it. You won't really see what this is like until I put it on white card. The effect will change according to what you place it on. White card won't show up the design very much. So I could do with some dark. So I have Mossy Meadow here, just because it's beside the table. So if you turn that onto there, that won't show the green up very well, but you can kind of get the drift. It pops it out a lot better than on white. Okay. Now vellum will always show your adhesives behind it. So there are different ways. I'll come onto those in a sec. So this, falling over, you can continue with this if you wanted to have the greenery just on the other side of these stems. See whether you like that one. Get that white back again. You need the white to be able to see the colour. So you can see kind of like the outline coming on there, just as a little shadow. Thumbs up done. Freesia. Pink or purples, wild wheat sounds nice. Oh, I have got wild wheat. I might use that one because I think those flowers might look nice in wild wheat. So I'm just going over the stems. We're not really enhancing it much because we're kind of like combining two techniques together. But the leaves, you'd want to put the leaves behind there. Because I've whited it out, you might not see too much of that. You'll see where there's green in the middle of those leaves. Okay, and the same with the flowers, you will see some of that. So I'm going to just carry on over these lines. The front will be less prominent than the back, so we are working still on the back. Okay, just put some greenery on the leaves and continue those stems. If you go over the leaves, you'll just play with different effects. I like the pure white. The pure white is lovely. But if we just bring those over, you'll just get some little enhancements around the outside edges. Okay, let's just try. I know you said wild wheat, but I think that might be too close to the greens, Shaz. So I'm going to go for a pink. Who said the pinks? Fresia's a pale. I might use, if you don't mind, I might use a darker pink. Is that the misty, the moody? Moody mauve is one of our new colours. Let's just try with that one for the flowers. You've got a good contrast then. So if I just come over these on the back here, I want to be able to show you different samples, not necessarily to complete a project, but just to show you what it could look like. Okay, just come over those three and see where we go. Because we're working from the back, it's very scruffy on the back, but when you turn it over, you will see some of those coming through. Can you see that against the white? You've just got that faint colour coming through. Sorbet. Oh, yeah, the sweet sorbet. That might for the reds. But that's the Moody Mauve, which is one of the new in colours. So this particular piece would look nice probably on white. I do want to just grab some black as well, actually. I've got black here. Just to see what you think of that on a black piece. So it all looks different depending on what you put it on. If it's even on the black, you can still see that there's some colour in there. We might want to go over that a little bit more, but just for the white, imagine that on a card. It is a beautiful technique, Maxine, yeah. So I'm going to just colour that a little bit more on that side to get some more depth of colour in here. Now, you've probably heard me say with the alcohol markers, this is the dark because I wanted it to be stronger to come through. You can build up your colours with the alcohol markers. Yeah, it is lovely colour. So you can build up this, even if you're colouring, you're shading in with your alcohol markers. You could use the light. The light is in there somewhere. You could use the light and you could build up the layers. If you go over more than once, it's getting darker and darker. So you can shade it. It does look lovely and subtle. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Maxine. But the powders do come, I think, yeah. I need to just put the code in and see whether they're included. I can't remember if embossing powders. That might be in the colouring mediums. So that might be included in the sale. I don't know. I'll try it after we get off. Just send me a message if I don't get back to you. I'll be up a little bit tonight, a little bit longer. So I'm just going over these over the back. So you are kind of like making it darker than you actually want it to see it. And just over those floral areas. You can. I would probably say you could do one or other of these. You wouldn't necessarily do them both together. I'm just combining them. You see those ones we left white, they were quite sweet. So as that changes, if I bring that over, I need to work on this one more. It needs to come through. Like so. So we've got that on that. You can't see that on there. You can see it on there really nicely. So it's starting to give those delicate, and we just started off with a plain piece of vellum. Okay, so it nearly makes me want to stick that onto a piece of white to get that delicate nature through, and then stick it on, mount it onto a black or the colour of your blends, whatever colours you're using. Okay, I will do another one after this. I will do one and then not do the whiting technique. We will just do the colouring on the vellum. This one I'm just going to quickly colour in down there. And these are all little tiny flowers, but just picking up that faint little colour through there. And then we'll go back to the green. She's quite content. Oh, not that end. That's the mushed end. That's the fat end. I need the point on here because we're colouring in where we want to be more accurate. Okay. I am going to do another piece after this, so I just wanted you to see the technique. So now Marilyn's mastered her heat embossing. She said to me today she thinks she's finally cracked it, and she's had fun today by the sound of it, so that's good. Okay, so that looks a bit messy on there, but I like that will look like so very delicate. Okay, on the back there. So that's one technique. We won't necessarily finish these, as I said. I'll keep those out of sight. I'm going to stamp it again on another piece of vellum, and I'm just going to do the outside, but not the white. That's not it. Not the white technique. You might have that's a bit narrow. Is that wider? Just check we can get it on there. Oh, very tight. We'll cut a new piece. I do love my vellum, and I do get through quite a bit of it because it's very versatile, and like somebody said earlier, it is very delicate. Okay, so I'll cut this to the width of my block, which is, we'll go for 7 centimetres. Out of the way. Leave it in the trimmer. So that one, this one, static pad. I'll trim it down later. Just tapping that over with my Versamark. Turn it round to stamp it. Hold my breath. So beautiful on the light, yes, absolutely. The embossing powders come in 3s, as I said. They come as the neutrals, which is the black, white and the clear, and then the metallics, which is silver, gold and copper. They do last a long while. The fact that I've got white lids, blue and white lids on here, Stampin' Up have gone to the greeny colour for a long while now, and these are still going strong right to the end. Okay, so I think we're there. Pop those out of the way. So we just tip the powder back in here and we keep going. Okay, that will last, and when you think you've run out, you haven't. Okay, so just going to heat this. You can see I'm not wafting, I'm just moving along as it changes colour. There we go. So as long as it's all melted, which it has, it's all nice and shiny. Okay, I wouldn't turn it over straight away. I would leave it just a little tiny bit, just to chill, cool. I'm just going to get my take your pick tool. I put that on the end of my brush end, but there's a little tiny piece on here that I missed on the powder. Okay, that's going to sit there, that's fine. I'll put a greeting over that probably. So there's a little piece there that I didn't want to have the powder touching, but that's fine. So it's all nice and cool now, so that's set. So we're going to turn it over. I'm just using the pens. I'm not going to do the white technique. So we've got 2 different things going on here. So I'm going to colour the backs of these in, and this is where you can afford to go over the edges. You're going to cover those white lines. Again, we're working from the back. So just colour those over. Okay, anywhere where there's colour, whether there's a flower. Okay, so I'm leaving the stems and just doing the flowers. But don't be afraid to go outside of those edges, so like over the edges of the petals. Okay, just show you those ones turned over, and again I'll move those 2 out of the way. I'll do that to the white again, so you've got more of the colour now because we haven't done the whiting first on it. Okay, so come down to these ones. And this stamp set, by the way, was one that was it carried over. It was in the spring, summer, I believe. It's in the annual catalogue now. So that's fine. It's all still available. I'm just colouring these in. And it's quite nice not having to be too precise with them. It's not really like going outside of the edges because it will enhance it, because you can't see the edges because of the powder. Okay, then I'll come back to my Yeah, dark old olive, this one. And now I'm going to colour in the greens. Okay, so just coming right down these. Quite rough with them. Colour in the centres, that's the main bit. So from this side you won't actually leave much white at all. I was a little bit late coming on because I was trying to find some brads. Somewhere I have some black and white brads. I don't use them very often, but they are in the annual catalogue, and I was going to show you how I use brads to fasten this on. They're like the old-fashioned paper clips that you pierce a hole through and then clip things together. They have a little brassy tack, and you push the two legs through and then open the legs out to fix. They're quite handy, and there are some black and white, mini black and white ones in the catalogue, and I was sure that I had some, but when I needed them, hey, they aren't where I was expecting to find them. And colouring in the inside of these leaves, you will see this a lot more of the colour than you do once you've whited it. So I would separate the techniques and do either or. So you can see by the fact that you can't see much of the white through here now. We're just going to see a little bit those colours softly on the other side. Okay, so we're nearly done there. Now if we turn that whole piece over and stick that under the camera there, you've got that one as opposed to the white on this one. We've done a lot more of the white on that side, so it's a paler finish. This one is just the inks on their own. And I really like that. It nearly looks like it's got a haze to it. Could you add a pack of vellum for you? Yes, I can. I've written the other order form out with your powders. No, what was it? Your refill, Versamark refill. So you've got two different effects there. This one we did the whiting first, and it's softer, and it's stretched, so it's making it curved. This one will sit flat on the paper. Okay, so we're going to do a really simple little card with this one. Cream. I don't want cream. I want white. I have note cards sitting here. Bear with me for a sec. Let's see if I can find them quickly. Vanilla. Check the drawer. I'm walking a bit strange this evening because I haven't been on my feet all day, but my feet feel like my heel on my left foot feels like I've run a marathon. And I was thinking about the guy on the radio too, who's been walking a marathon for children in need, and it's really quite tender. Hello, Noisy. So that's the note card. I'm not sure if it's going to fit on. Is that going to fit? I think it would fit lovely on there. Look. Let me zoom you out a little bit. A bit close now. That's better. Hello. So this, I think I want to have that width. I just want to bring it down a little bit from the top and bottom. So I will get a pencil or put a little mark on here. If I use my take your pick tool or the ball tool, I can just put a little mark where I want to have that ending, and then just a little one up here as well. That will stretch the paper in those two places, and I can see where that is. So I can pop that in here, there on that mark. That will go in my scraps. You never know where they might come in handy. And the mark is here. Chop that one off. There we go. So that on a little panel in the centre there. It's just so delicate. I don't know what I've done. It's on the heel. And I took my sock off earlier and I was looking and prodding it and poking it and it wasn't hurting. It's just like now when I'm walking on it. It's not really, I can say, oh yes, I know I've done that, because it's just really tender. I'm going to make this a little bit narrower. There There we go. So these sides are even. This one had a little bit of a wider border that side. Okay, so I'm going to place this on here, but I think I'm going to put a white layer, but then I want a darker layer behind it. Let's look at, no, I don't. I do want to have this just white. So I'm going to cut a layer on here. This is 5 by 3.5. Won't get it in there, will I? So 5 by 3.5. I'm going to come down just a little bit underneath. So my 3.5 I'll take down 1/4 inch. And then my 5 I'll take down by 1/4 inch. Okay. Put that on there. Just have a little bit of a border. I'm just playing with the layers at the moment. So if I can get that just inside. So it is just trial and error really. We're trying to make it fit on what you want. And sometimes it's just taking a little smidgen off top and bottom, around the sides, just to get that to fit in that shape there. And I've done this before with you where I eyeball. I want just a little tiny smidgen of a layer that side. So that's that bit. So that's looking good. And then I think it deserves to have its own colour with the Moody Mauve as a layer underneath that. So just bear with. This one, this is the one I want to take down by a tiny little bit. Okay, so if we manage to get that one on there, we're going to have this one slightly bigger, but it's got to fit within the 5 by 4.5. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in here. I'm just making that tiny little margin just either side so I can see where to cut that. You can use a pencil mark if you find it easier. I can still centre it in the middle. And just a tiny hint on there. Just kind of enhances that colour again. It just brings it through. I'm not gutting anything tonight. Okay, I didn't get that very straight on there. What I'm going to do is grab some Tombow and adhere that one down. And then I'll trim the edge up. I think it's optical illusion, but that doesn't look like that right hand side is very straight. Just a tiny little smidgen around the sides. It's just going to enhance the colours. Okay, and I'll trim that down a little bit. There we go. I like that. So that could be our panel. It could go in the centre like so, and then this one is going to come on here. And we'll see those colours coming through. Can you see that? Beautiful. So now how I would attach this to the back. Because if you had brads, you could pop a little hole, pierce a little hole in the corners here, pop the brad through, stretch the legs out so they don't go over the edge of your card. So you want one to come to the corner and one inwards. You could stretch one of those out in each corner. And I was thinking I had the black and white one somewhere. White would be fine for this. Failing that, if you put any adhesive on this, it will show through. So the other way you can do it is to actually just put some little dabs of Tombow just behind and let them go tacky just behind the large areas. So what I'm going to do is, oh, that's not going to work, is it? It was working just now. There we go. So in fact, I might turn it upside down. The other end here, the wide end, I don't use this very, very often at all. I really don't. So this is one of the areas I might actually try and use this. So just going to push some glue through and just get it flowing, because you get a little bit of gunk in there. There we go. So when you get, oops, it's face downwards. When you get some glue on here, it's easier just to spread it. It's called a spreader. You can just spread it around. But again, I'm just tapping it just on the coloured areas. Okay, touch it all over. Just whilst there's some glue coming out. That's it. Just on those little areas. So you're just getting it a little bit tacky. Okay, and that will be, it should be enough to hold it. There's only a couple of techniques I use this for. The other one's tissue paper. So I would let that dry slightly so that that goes a little bit tacky. It's not white liquid on there, it's good. So I'm going to just hold that in the corners, in that side. Just get that over. I have cut that very, very quickly. I'm not 100% sure the straight edges on this side. But there is our piece, it's matted, and then that's our piece there for our card. Okay, so we could put some pads behind here if we wanted, or we can put it flat. Should be out on the table. You wouldn't believe I've had some classes this week, would you? And everything has disappeared. I probably took them with me. There we go. Some in here. So, forgive the piece of music notes on there. And my tweezers, I know, are packed in my travel case, so from today. So I would have to use my fingers. Yes, unheard of, I know. Chunky fingers instead of tweezers. You love it. There you go, Marilyn. So you thought you'd cracked one thing. You've now got something else to try with it. So that was my idea for tonight. As soon as you said that earlier today, this morning, I just thought that you'd probably like something a little bit different. And it's teaching you another new technique. It's just so delicate. And I'm just going to simply put the panel in the middle and press that down onto the pads. So you've got some dimension, okay, but it's a really nice, clean and simple card. Okay. Oh, hi, Jean. Yeah, Princess will get treats later. So now what do we do with the greeting on here? See, for me, I would think, right, I need to put something a little bit more solid across here. I would like to use a piece of that Moody Mauve. So I might just do the embossing in white. In this stamp set, we had a beautiful greeting. Hey, I love this one. Thank you for your kindness. Okay, you could use any greeting that you've got, but I think because I've got this set out, I think I'll use that one. I don't think that that's too heavy. I think that would look good across there. I think that could look quite nice. But keeping the same theme, I want to have the, I don't know, I have to go corner to corner on that one. Okay, so again, I'm going to use the embossing buddy. I've got an awful lot of stuff on my table at the moment. White powder, which we had here. Okay. Versamark here. So we're going to tap that all over. The stamp is smaller than the ink pad, so I come this way. If it was bigger, I'd tap it all over the surface that way. So I'm going to just hold this along so the line is in alignment with the edge of the card. And I do always say to cover your Versamark before you sprinkle the powder. The powders get airborne. They're tiny little dust particles. They would get in the air, and if it was quite close, you would get bits of white on there. The next time you do something, you might get bits of black on there, then bits of gold. So before you know it, your ink pad is not very clean anymore. So there we go, nice and clean and simple. Look at that. So tip that one back in. You can see I'm using every last morsel of this white, but they will be on my wish list in a minute. So again, just holding it until the ink starts to melt, the powder starts to melt, and then gently move it along. There we go. And there is our sentiment. Now, it's just a case of how neat I can cut that down, whether I have it as a banner or whether I fussy cut round. So I like to chop that off first, get the excess of that out of the way. And I'm going to straighten this up because it's not quite straight to the top there. I can see the words coming down here to make sure that they're nice and straight. I'm going to get it as slim as I can without cutting off any of the top words. Then I'm going to do the end to make sure it's lined up, it's not on the slant, and then I'll take this back in, and I want to make sure I get all of that bottom line, including the Y, which means that's going to come to the 2 centimetre mark there. So the lines are all straight down, and chop that off, and then we'll make sure that was all straight there. There we go. So there's our sentiment, but we might feel that that's a little bit heavy for that coming on there. Do we think that's heavy? I think if I have it low enough, I think that balances, it's fine. This side is a bit longer than that, so I want to take a little bit off this end. We've done nearly the hour. I know it's a little bit late starting. Have I got any? My scissors are all packed. Let me just grab another pair. The joys of having more than one pair of scissors in the house. Okay, so I'm going to take that into the middle. You've seen me do this loads of times. Snip into the middle, and then from the corner to the middle, and then from the corner to the middle. That's gone. Take those 2 pieces away. The same this end, into the corner, and into the corner. It just adds that little bit of detail, taking the sharpness off those edges. Okay, and then that can just sit on there. Now I would put pads on that one as well, I think. And I put them where? Here. Okay, so one on each end and one in the middle. We don't like it sagging in the centre. Okay, there we go. Take those away and pop that across there. So I don't want to cover up totally the stems. I like to have it fairly low down here, and I like it when it's going off the edges, because it's breaking that straight line down here, the composition. So that's, instead of just being straight, it's got that little bit coming off there, like so. And if you wanted to, you could add the odd gem on there, but I really don't think that there's much need for that. So I hope you've liked all of that tonight. Lots of learning. But it's a really delicate finish on that, isn't it? So I'll bring it right up to the camera. Okay, and that's just with the colouring, no whitener on it. Okay, so I would, like I said, I would actually do those one or the other, not mix the two together. Okay, but it's turned out really, really nicely. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll bring you back to me. Let me take that off. There we go, and come across there. So, and don't forget, so if you, I'll post that later. If you enjoyed that, then have a go yourself and pop it underneath the post. You can just pop yours in on Facebook. You can't add them to YouTube, I'm afraid. And remember that the sale finishes at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Okay, I will be around all day tomorrow, so you can get hold of me if you need any help. Yeah, absolutely, Marilyn. Have a go at that technique and let me know how you get on. It's really good. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I've had fun with it, and thanks for bearing with me. Okay, so if you're on Facebook, remember to like the post, and then on YouTube, just hit the like and subscribe button so you can be notified when I have other videos pop up. Lovely. Thanks, Zena. You like it both ways. Excellent. A couple of different techniques.